Remember, my excellent drivers, you are responsible for the safe use of your vehicle and abiding by the state or territory rules that you are driving in, and that, of course, includes mobile phone usage.
Welcome to the Learn to Drive podcast. I'm your host, Liz Lafferty, and I'm here to guide you through the twists and turns of learning to drive with a few laughs along the way. So whether you're a newbie trying to figure out why the car keeps beeping at you, or a seasoned road warrior who still can't parallel park without causing a minor traffic jam, I've got you covered. So buckle up, check those mirrors, and let's hit the road to becoming a more confident and happier driver. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Art of Confident Driving. I'm your host, Liz Lafferty, and I hope you're doing really well. And I hope you're looking forward to this episode as much as I am, because this is a good one. This is Driving Test Tips 2. All right, guys, so I had a great response from you for the original Driving Test Tips podcast. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to do another one, and I'll probably do a third one very soon as well. But let's get through this one first. So a couple of the biggest tips I can give you. First of all, your car. So whether you're presenting with an instructor, that shouldn't be your problem, okay? So if you are using an instructor's car for the test, number one, don't do the test only. There are a few instructors out there who allow that. I think that's a really crazy thing to do. You need to get used to the car, whether it's manual or auto, okay? You need to be able to identify all of the controls in the vehicle. So yeah, you've got to get used to the car that you're going to be using. So at least have a 1-hour warm-up lesson before the test. Don't just go straight into the test with a car you've never driven and don't know the controls of. But yeah, so if you're using an instructor for the test, then they should have a lovely clean car and it should all be roadworthy, because often the examiners will check it for its roadworthiness, which I think I did mention in that first driving test tips episode. But yeah, always check the requirements for the vehicle. So if you are using your own vehicle, you've got to make sure it's roadworthy. All right. So that's the first thing. Second thing, don't turn up with a dirty car, guys. Nobody wants to sit in a dirty car. So I had a lovely student back in Sydney, and she was a really lovely lady. She had her own car, and yes, she learnt from scratch at the ripe old age of 63. It's because she lived in a city, and then she moved to the suburbs and realised she couldn't get anywhere without a car. So she took the very brave step of learning to drive at age 63, which I'm still thrilled. I've had quite a few at that age, strangely enough. I don't know why that particular age, but there you have it. So yeah, she had her own car and we would use that car for lessons. And as we were getting closer to the test, the car was getting dirtier. And I said, look, can you pop it through a car wash for me? Because it's almost getting hard to see out the windows. And she promised me red, black and blue that she would do it. And of course she turns up test day and nothing's been done. And somehow it's actually gotten worse over the weekend. So I said to her, look, let's just quickly run to my place, because she lived close by. I said, let's just quickly drive to my place. And I actually ended up washing the car for her, or at least mainly the windows. I didn't worry about the body. But you must be able to see clearly out your windows, guys. So yeah, make sure it's a clean car, not only on the outside, but on the inside. Okay, nobody wants to get into a car with McDonald's wrappers and stuff at their feet, and they certainly don't want to have a 3-day-old coffee sitting in the center console. So please be mindful that you're asking somebody to come into your space if it's your car. So make sure it's clean and tidy and in good working order. All right, the next tip, don't tell your friends. I know this seems really strange because you want them behind you, you want them to have your back, but it's an added pressure that I don't think anybody needs. So if you want to, you can say, oh, look, I'm doing my test sometime soon. Or you can just turn up and say, look, I've got my license. But I really don't recommend telling your friends beforehand, because what if the worst happens and you don't get through on the day? It's going to be pretty humiliating. So you might mention it after it's done, but I certainly wouldn't mention it in the weeks beforehand. So if you do, unfortunately, don't get through, well, you just tell them, oh, look, I didn't pass, but look, my second go, I passed perfectly. Right? So it was just nerves that got me the first time. But you don't even want to have to go through that, do you? So yeah, I don't recommend telling friends. Keep the circle close. Only people who need to know should be aware of that, mum or dad or grandparent or carer. the person who's going to help you go through that day. So there's less pressure because the more people that know, the more people that will be, yes, rooting for you and wanting you to pass, but also, have major sympathy for you if you don't get through, because not everybody does. And that's okay, because sometimes it's just nerves that get you on the day. I've had many students do that in the 27 years I've presented. I'm very fortunate that I don't let that happen too often anymore, and haven't for the good last 10 years. So those students who don't get through on the first go, we've got to really analyse why. But that's a podcast for another day. And we'll do an episode on why did we fail and how do we fix it. But that's the point. If you're prepared for the test, and that includes mentally, then that will certainly help you get through on the day. So no added extra pressures, and don't make it a work day if you can take the day off. If you can only take a couple of hours off, well, good, but don't just squeeze it in on a lunch break. You know what I mean? Take time to breathe and relax and focus on the job, right? Which is what I say to all my students. You're here to do a job. And this I guess is one of my really big tips for the driving test day is you are there to do a job. Your job is to drive safely and to show the person next to you that you've got great car control and you know and obey the road rules. That's really what the test is about. So if we can kind of forget the word test and just go, hey, I'm just on a drive. I'm here to enjoy the drive, which is what Liz has been telling me to do all this time. Yeah, I really just want to sit back, relax and enjoy this drive, because I'm bound to go somewhere I haven't been before, because the examiner knows all of the local roads. So this could be really exciting. I could find a shortcut to a friend's place. This could be really cool. So as you can tell, guys, it really is something that I do want you to be comfortable with, is your mental attitude for the test. And again, I say to my students, yes, it's a job, but it should be an enjoyable job. So pretend that you're an Uber driver for the day, right? Pretend you're an Uber driver and you want your 5 stars. And that's it. You're not there to impress anyone. You're just there to get the job done so that they say, yep, this was a safe driver. I'm happy. I'll get back into the car with them again. So again, it's mental as well as physically knowing how to drive and controlling the vehicle. So please make sure that you are well rested. In other words, don't go to bed late. That's not the night you want to go to bed late. That's the night I want to get to bed on time or even a little bit early, and just breathe and just relax and be ready for the day that's going to come. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about is your attitude. So it's really important that you don't come in thinking, I'm going to show off and show this guy how good I am. There are some people out there who would do that, and I strongly recommend against it. But it's also the attitude of, I know what I'm doing, I'm a good driver, and I'm going to show the person next to me that I can do this. So we don't mind at all. And when I say we, I'm saying me and the examiners, because obviously part of my job is to assess if you are test ready. So I'm like an examiner, but I'm not an examiner. And yes, I know many people have asked me to be one. No, sorry, I won't, guys. It requires working for the state government. I'm not good in that sort of situation. I'm not good with bureaucracy. Anywho, so back to our attitude. So if you're the type of person who, if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you let it go, then you're going to be fine. But if you're the kind of person who gets upset when you make a mistake and you berate yourself, that's going to drag you down, and especially for the practical driving test. So what I need you to really remember is we're not looking for perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect driver. They just don't exist. Everybody makes mistakes because we're human, okay? So please don't think one mistake is going to be the end of the test. Now, if it's a really bad mistake, okay, that might be it. But I still want you to go on, no matter what mistake you made, as if it never happened. Or, if it did happen, then it's tough, it's too late, I can't do anything about it, so I've left it on the road behind me, and I'm going to focus on what's happening ahead. Because if I keep thinking about the mistake I've just made, obviously I'm not thinking about my job, which is what I said in the last tip. Please focus on the job of driving, not on what did I do wrong. So yeah, we want you to be comfortable enough as a driver to say, oh, look, I just went a bit too close to the curb there. I didn't touch it, but I went close, so I've learnt my lesson. Now, that's just a really gentle example. I'm not going to terrify you with anything else. And again, it's all part of attitude. You don't want to think the wrong things. You don't want to think about things that are going to drag you down on the day. Like, what if? How about we say, well, I'm going to pass and I'm holding my license in my hands and everything's cool. So yeah, when you do make a mistake, don't get dramatic about it. Don't even think about it. It's happened, but what's next? Right? You've got to be thinking what's next at all times. We want you to be aware of what's around you. And yes, that, of course, that includes checking the mirrors. But I've got to say, guys, in the 27 years I've done this job, the amount of people who, when they know I'm assessing their driving and they get in the car and there's mirror checks almost every second. And I'm not just talking one mirror, I'm talking all three. And it's just too much. You know, there's awareness and then there's paranoia. So, yeah, don't get crazy about the checks. Good examiners, we can always tell if you're doing the correct checks, even if you're not moving your head a whole lot. Or we can always tell if somebody knows what's happening all the way around them, not just in front or even just to one side, which a lot of drivers do as they rely way too much on that driver's side mirror. So yeah, don't get paranoid about whatever you're doing. Just do it naturally. Think calmly through it. But yeah, don't be doing a blind spot check and mirror check every second. It's just crazy. Again, we don't need perfect. We just need safe and you can obey the road rules. Okay? Do on test day prepare for the unexpected. You have no idea the amount of weird things that has happened to my students on their tests over the years. It really is quite amazing. I've had a snake come out in front of my car when they're on a quiet back road. So yeah, that's just one of the milder ones. I guess I'll have to do an episode one day of those. But yeah, that's the point. So, you know, if a truck's going to start pulling out when he shouldn't, you should be prepared for that. If a little kid's going to run onto the road, again, you should be prepared for that. Well, you get the idea. If the lights are going to change, we do have to pretend the lights are going to change, guys. It's kind of important. And I do talk about that heavily on my traffic lights episode and lesson, which is, of course, on my podcast. I go into great depth about how to know when lights are going to change and the procedure we are looking for as you're on approach to these lights. So yeah, I do encourage you to sign up for the subscription and you can have a good listen to that episode because that would have saved many, many people from not getting their license that day as they didn't approach traffic lights in the correct manner. So yeah, it does help to have professional tips. And I guess that would be the last thing I'm going to say today is go and find a really good quality professional in your area. Go do the review looking up and all that sort of thing, please. Word of mouth does help. But remember, not everybody is a great fit. So what might have worked for one student won't work for the other. But, you know, as instructors, we're here to help you. We want you to pass, but we want you to be a safe and confident driver and one that obeys the road rules. How many times have I said that today? There you go. So please remember that's the number one thing on the test, guys, is obey the road rules. So go and find a really good quality professional, one that will help you apart from my lessons, which of course it's as if I'm sitting next to you in the car because I've said the script so many times I know it off by heart. I'll probably do a version 2 eventually where I use some phrases which don't work with everybody, but will work with quite a few people. So yeah, that's why I've done the podcast, is so you guys, if you can't afford or you just don't have the means to get to a good quality professional, you can listen to my lessons and you can watch my instructional videos if you're doing it via my website. So yeah, I do encourage you to give it a try. I mean, goodness, it's less than the price of a pizza for 1 month. So why not? What have you got to lose? All right, my friends, go on out there, be safe, obey the road rules, and above all, be kind to one another as we're out there on the roads. Best wishes for happy and safe driving, my friends. I'll catch you next time. Bye. And my full driving lessons are available on Apple Podcasts and the artofconfidentdriving.com website, where you will get access to instructional videos. Remember to relax and enjoy the drive. See you next time.